Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Today we have a very special guest with us, Amanda Rickwood. Assalamu alaikum, Amanda. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you. Salams. I'm very good. Thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Good to have you here, and thank you for accepting to come on to this interview. And I think everybody is looking forward to hearing your very interesting story. Amanda is a revert to Islam, and she has a channel, actually multiple Facebook, multiple social media outlets to describe her story. And she describes her story under the title Amanda Goes Back to Basics. So she is doing a lot of effort trying to communicate her story, and she has a very interesting story, and we'll go over that a little bit. So Amanda, just if you would like to introduce us to yourself, who is Amanda Rickwood?
That's a very interesting question. Amanda Rickwood is a very peaceful, alhamdulillah, Muslim woman there.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. That's great. And I do detect that aura from you as well, from listening to and watching your videos. So what do you do for a living?
Well, I am a teacher, and I have been teaching nearly 30 years now. So I'm kind of at the tail end of my teaching career. And it's been an absolute joy. And I think so many stories I could tell you from my teaching, but we won't digress.
I bet. And you actually traveled quite a bit, I think, and you practiced teaching in multiple countries. Is that right?
Yes, alhamdulillah. I was very, very much blessed with a teaching career, which was absolutely perfect and right for me. And that allowed me to travel to the Middle East. And as you know, that's been an absolute blessing for me as well, because that's where I found my peace.
Right. What type of subjects do you teach?
I'm a primary school teacher, so I teach right across the curriculum.
The tough age. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have.
Yeah, 5 to 11-year-olds.
Nice. My son is still 2 years old, so I'm finding it a bit of a challenge already.
Oh, well, you've got many more to come, my dear. So embrace yourself. It's a lifelong parenting experience. It never ends.
That's true. And you do have 2 daughters that are 24 and 29. You live in the UK. Is that right?
Yeah, I've just landed back, yes. After 10 years of being out of the country. So I'm back now. Alhamdulillah, it's beautiful.
Did you miss it?
No.
Why? Why not?
Well, one, I was running away, and two, I was trying to find my place, let's put it that way. But now I'm back, I don't miss the Middle East, you see? So I feel very much at peace and happy to be home with, with family being around, although they live in the south and I'm in the north of England. And so, yeah, I don't miss the Middle East, and I'm happy to be home.
And you have been, from my understanding, only to Qatar, right?
Yes, I was in Qatar and then 2 years in Cairo, in Egypt.
In Cairo, wow.
Amazing. I lived by the Nile. I would say to my family, I'm just going for a walk down to the Nile. It was like, honestly, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I mean, I was just there, and obviously Egypt has got so much spiritual and the connections with all the stories and it's in the Quran. I mean, I couldn't have found a better place. It was amazing. The people were brilliant as well.
Did you actually get a chance to meet some of the kind of Quran teachers in Egypt, like and study with them?
No, I wasn't at that point. But I've met some amazing sisters who started to teach us. There was a group of us, and then obviously the coronavirus just wiped everything out. But then we started we do online now, which is great for me because now I've left, but I'm still very much in touch with them, and we do online lectures, which is beautiful. It's really nice.
That's amazing. So you have started your channel, YouTube channel, Amanda Goes Back to Basics, 2 months ago. And from the dates that I have seen, and you've already published, I think, close to 20 videos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing. And you're already gaining quite a bit of following.
yes.
And yeah, and that's it's very difficult on YouTube to kind of gain such following in such a short period of time. So when you came to start this this platform, or actually to go public, what were the deeper objectives behind that move?
Well, the title, although my husband did say it was a bit long, and I was like, no, I was kind of adamant that I wanted it because for me, I went back to basics. I had all the stuff and everything that I could possibly want in this worldly life. And I walked away from all of that, the house, the children, the husband, the marriage, the job, everything. And then when I actually let go of everything, I humbled, alhamdulillah, and I found Allah. And to me, that, even that, it's kind of a fundamental, it's a play on words. I mean, I'm not saying that Islam is basic, but the principles of being a decent human, it's so basic. You don't need money. You don't need the castle. You don't need the dresses, the shoes, the handbags, the going outs, you know, the 6,000 friends. You don't need any of that. You need Allah, and you need your connection. And that's it. That's it. And it took me until I was in my late 40s to get that. And I'm like, I feel like I've been robbed, you know, like what happened in my life? I said this to my mum today, actually. We had a little discussion about it. I'll talk about that later because I'm going to digress into another conversation. But yeah, that's why it's called Amanda Goes Back to Basics, because we need that basics around us, and we're losing it a lot. A lot of us are losing it.
That's actually amazing when you talk about the idea of even feeling that you missed out. And I find that with a lot of reverts, that they have this sense that they have missed out on Islam. And my response to that, I'm like, you have a lot of people who are born Muslims who haven't discovered it yet. So really, you spent 40 years, but you discovered something that will remain with you forever. Yes. Where others, they live forever and they have not discovered it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you're absolutely 100% right. I mean, when I started to study, and I mean, I'd say study, I mean, I did my own little research, read my own books and watched my own videos, and asked questions and read Quran, and I started to unpick and discover a lot. And like I said, I felt denied. I felt actually a bit stupid. I felt like you thought, you know, you've got your master's degree and you've done your degree, you've got all of that, but actually you didn't know the fundamental basics of the line of the prophets, for example, peace and blessings be upon them all. I mean, I am now at that point where I'm absolutely fascinated. That's my new sort of study, my new kind of, whenever I get a minute, I'm always, you know, watching another story of our lovely prophets, peace and blessings be upon them all. Because if you don't know that story, you're not going to get what's going on in the Quran. And when I started to read the Quran, I didn't understand what was really being said, because I didn't know the basics. I didn't know what was before the prophet now, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. I didn't understand, so I had to kind of keep going backwards, if you see what I mean. But I forced myself to keep reading Quran, even though I didn't really understand it, but I just carried on reading it, and then did sort of delved at the side as well into the prophets.
Definitely. And I think having that context, as you're saying, is what many people miss out on. And that's, you know, you're absolutely right in that. So I'm glad that you're able to kind of find those basics, because most of the things that are out there, from what I have seen and from what other reverts have told me, is things trying to address misconceptions. And those misconceptions, I find them distractions. They're not, they don't give you the basics you're talking about. They distract you from the basics. What do you think about that?
Yes. When are you talking about like the worldly life, worldly goods? Is that what you mean?
But even questions about Islam, like for example, some people, their only focus is, okay, why are men oppressing women,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and why what's up with jihad and all these things,
Oh, yes.
all these peripheral questions. It's very difficult to address them without actually understanding the core,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
turn out to be a distraction.
Yes. 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 And I'm getting a little bit frustrated with well, I shouldn't say frustrated because that's a bit harsh. I'm getting to a point where, well, I guess it is frustration because I just want to, like, I think I said it in one of my videos, and I sort of feel like in my heart, I'm just kind of reaching out to my family and saying, you know, just I said to my mum today, like, question, you know, if you're going to say something, back it up. Like, get your source. What evidence do you have? Where are you coming from with that claim? You know, and this is what I love about Islam. This is what it's taught me to have that knowledge. Although I'm not a scholar, and I probably couldn't, you know, quote many or if any, but the point is, you know, have your backup, and I could explain to you all that you're saying about women, because my brother got very distressed about, oh, well, you're going to be oppressed. You know, they think my husband is kind of dragging me around behind him or something. You know, I mean, far from it. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think even non-believers, you know, they'll say things about death, and I want them to, like, okay, so you're saying you might, you know, you might be meeting up with, you know, a dead loved one. What's your theory? You know, where are you getting that evidence from? It's really difficult to, and I don't want there to be a distance between me and my family because I'm a Muslim and we don't have that distance. But yeah, you're right. Sorry, I digress.
No, that's great, and I echo a lot of what you said. Now, when you started this channel, although it's been only 2 months, you speak about how people are engaging with it. As a matter of fact, you're being contacted right now by people who either want to accept Islam, or they have questions about Islam, or they're looking for support. So how can you tell us more about that? Like, you almost created a community around you.
Well, this is what I do want. I want it to be, you know, our channel. You know, this channel is not about, although it's founded on obviously my story, because I felt like I learned a lot, and like with my family, I feel I know I have the truth. If you have something that's so beautiful, what do you want to do? You want to share it, and it's so hard. But with my channel, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to share it with as many people as I can. And it is for the sake of Allah that I've started my channel. It's not for me. I've got a job. I'm absolutely fine. I'm not looking to start up a business on YouTube or anything like that. It's for Islam, and it's for that beauty, and it's for reaching out for people who were perhaps on their own. And there are a lot of sisters out there that are contacting me and asking, you know, I'm confused, I'm upset. I mean, I've had many discussions, video chats, and calls with sisters through my channel, and I've actually taken, alhamdulillah, 2 sisters through their shahada.
Oh,
I mean,
mashallah.
unbelievable. In 2 months, 2
Mashallah.
shahadas.
That's amazing.
So,
That's amazing.
obviously, you know, online, and with my Cairo sisters coming, and it's just been so beautiful. And I couldn't, I always ask Allah to make sure that, and check in that I am with the right intentions, because it's very easy to get a bit carried away, and, you know, a bit of a limelight, and I don't want to go down that road. But at the same time, obviously, I am on a social platform. You know, I have to think about that as well, with the good and the bad. But if I keep my intentions good and true, and these are my reasons, you know, why I want to promote my channel, and I ask people to come to the channel for the sake of Allah. That's it, not for me. You know,
And,
let's promote the beauty and the truth.
and you know something, maybe this is something you're noticing with other people who are considering Islam. is this idea of perfection, which you have spoken about in your videos. Now, the
Yes.
funny thing is that for most people, from what I have seen, is that they get that sense that they want to be perfect after accepting or after reverting to Islam, and that causes them quite a bit of stress. For you, it was the other way around. Like, you didn't want to accept Islam because, and you speak about that with Sister Elizabeth, right? Like,
Yes.
because you don't want to disappoint God, uh,
Yes.
because you're imperfect. Now
Yeah.
that's the other way around for most people. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that, and where do you think that is coming from?
Well, I think we grow in. I've grown in a world where you are pushed along, and the expectations are, as a woman, particularly when I was in my 30s and the whole of the Spice Girls came out, and girl power, and women's rights, and you can't talk to me like that, and women were just turning, well, I did, I can only talk for myself, I turned very aggressive and very ugly. um and but there was this um image, this in my head, of how I had to be. I had to be the best mother, I had to be the best in my career, I had to get to the top of my ladder. It was very money orientated, especially with the group of friends. That was just, I'm not putting any blame on them, but that's how it was at the time. When we were all going through university, getting our careers, and it was about, oh, I've bought my house already, and oh, we're now going to get married. And me and my husband at the time, we were not married at the beginning, so we were a little bit falling behind everybody. But there was this whole pressure coming down on you, and plus, I think, the women in my family, we are fusspots. We do like things to be a certain way. We're a bit controlling, and there is that striving for perfection on top of you from society. So, and I always felt a bit like a failure as well. And I think from the beginning of my story, before I even came into this world, it was that sense of not ever feeling. And I love my family, and I'm not putting any fault on my family, but I had that sense as a child. That's how I saw myself. I can only speak from my childlike, eyes, that I'm looking back. But now I don't feel like that at all. My family are my family, and I love them to bits. And Islam taught me to love my family, actually, the way that I do. So perfection. So yeah. So I always had that. And plus I'm a teacher, so I had such high expectations of the children, which was really good on the one hand, because I always got results out of them. But on the other hand, we would get there kicking and screaming. I mean, I don't think that's very conducive to a child, but I mean, they always loved me at the end of it all, because they could see I was doing it for the love of them. But I don't think that's a very healthy way of doing it, of having that perfect, because we're not perfect. Allah's perfect. Allah owns perfection. So, but it was great, because it was that point again, how all of this kind of got me on that cusp of taking my shahada. I hadn't even planned to take. I had no intention. I mean, I wanted to, but I just wasn't sure when it was going to happen, And it was when Sister Elizabeth said to me that moment of like, well, don't you think, you're disappointing Allah now? And that was it. I just, that's it. Let's do it right now, And it was amazing. So yeah.
No, that you're talking about some really deep aspects. Like, some people speak about the cultural impact on Islam from the Middle East or from East Asia. But what I detected when I heard that in your video is actually the cultural impact of the perfection that's expected in the UK society.
Yeah.
This image that everything has to be perfect, it has to be classy and bourgeois.
Yeah.
That actually prevents people from just living their life and experiencing Islam.
Yeah, as given. I think there's just way too much striving and grabbing, and keep, you keep poking your head over the fence to see what your neighbour's doing, and oh well, they're putting up an extension, we better put up an extension. And you again, basics. You've lost basics. You've lost, this is the basic, this is your heart, this is the, you know, this is what is important. And I've always been a kind of hearty person. I've always been on the emotional side of things and been in touch with that. Yeah, I think society is so fast paced, and look what's happened now with the corona. People aren't coping. Mental illness has gone sky high. Suicides have gone sky high. You know, there's more children in poverty now. There's more children at risk now. I mean, the family were falling apart anyway, but now even more destruction. So, and also, funnily enough, it never affected me. People are like, oh, corona, corona. I'm like, what's going on? I don't have a television. I don't listen to the radio. I don't know how I get my information, but obviously it filters out to me somehow, but I don't listen to it. I do not listen to it.
And when you speak about children, you do have two daughters,
Yep.
24 and 29. So what was the impact on them after you decided to accept Islam? Like, what was that impact on the most beloved people to you, which are your children?
Yeah.
How did they take it? What did you have to do after you decided to basically change the way you look at life?
Yeah, I would hope to think, and I don't want to speak for my children, but I would hope to think that they can physically see a change, not just where I wear the hijab, but a change in my calmness and tranquility and view on life, and how I can I try to steer them in a different way to face problems, when they're facing a problem. I mean, they are, I raised them, well, me and their dad raised them to be very open-minded, alhamdulillah, so they've got that real sense of caring for the awkward, the one that's left out. I used to always tell my children, if you ever see a child in the playground and they are not playing with anybody, go and invite them over to play with you. Look out for those around you. I mean, it was amazing. I always raised my children I said, I want you to be the best human, not the best, getting the best top results or going to the best universities or being, the best in careers and all of that. That was insignificant to me. It was important that they were decent humans, and that's how I wanted to raise my children. And of course, I didn't raise them in any religion either, so they were never christened. And actually, my daughter did study religion, which is really interesting. She studied Islam at A level. She took Islam. She took religion at an A level. Yeah, nice. And she studied Islam and Christianity. And she said to me not long ago, she said, Mum, you know what? Actually, out of the two religions, Islam makes much more sense. I was like, alhamdulillah. And that was it. I was like, well, that's interesting. So I'm hopeful in my heart that maybe she might fall back at some point into thinking about Islam again, I mean, obviously you want your children to be Muslim and you want your family to be Muslim. I want everybody to be Muslim, but I can't push.
But when you talk about, raising them as being good humans, did they notice kind of that you have become a better human after this transition?
It's a tricky one. It's a very tricky one, because of the past hurts and the bad choices. I've spoken about the bad choices that I've made in my life, in my videos, and
yep.
And hurts, the hurt, and I beg for forgiveness, with Allah. But I mean, I know it's past, and I know it was before I became a Muslim, but I still carry that, and I beg to them, and I beg to them, to their faces, but in my prayers, that they will one day be able to forgive me, so I'm still working, we're still working very much on that, and it's a very kind of day-to-day relationship, so I can't push my children. I accept where they're at. I accept everything that they feel and that they want to say. I can't say anything, you know. That's for them. It's for them to say and to understand where they're at in their life with me.
Definitely, definitely, because you know we go through our own journeys. It took you 40 something years to get where you are, and you know people have to live their journeys. And I think maybe one part that might be interesting for you to talk about, you speak a lot about it in the videos. This idea of pursuing happiness.
Mm.
You had that lack of pursuing happiness, and I think that might have been driven by the idea that you spoke about, which is feeling that sense of neediness that resulted in you worshiping your husband, worshiping your husband.
Yeah. Yes.
It's quite interesting. You're talking about some really deep concepts here. Like these are not things people might listen to them and be like, yeah, whatever, right? But these are some deep concepts. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, but see, the funny thing is, I always, and I go back to the point, I remember very clearly sitting on that rock in the Himalayas, you know, searching life. And this was before I had the children. So I was about 20, I think 21,
Yep.
22, something like that. Yeah, 22. And just at that real juncture of what is life? Where am I going? Am I taking the right path here? I always wanted peace. And that's what, whenever I was, you know, blowing out a candle, wishing, you know, you do your wishes, you blow your candle, you make a wish. And it was always, you know, but for peace, for peace. And that's all I ever wanted was peace. And that kind of all got a little bit mixed up with my feeling of not belonging, of sort of very young. I was 17 when I kind of, you know, once they ran away, but I sort of really moved away from the family. I literally moved away to London at 17. And, you know, I was living on my own, doing my thing and, you know, wanting to be the big girl and I'm independent and just really not finding, I can't explain it more than I couldn't find my place with me, with my family, with, you know, with life. I just couldn't find it. And it was that need to want that I just want peace. I just want peace. But all I kept doing was creating destruction because I was too aggressive. I was making wrong choices. I wasn't humbling myself. I had too much to say about everybody and everything. And yeah, I was just driven to find, and I think this is just such a blessing. And a lot of reverts will say, Islam is peace. It is, it really is. You find so much peace and you find all your answers that you're possibly wanting or needing. And all I need is my connection with Allah. And that's it. End of.
So just to kind of push back, because this is,
Yeah.
I think to somebody who experienced this, it's easy to talk about, but to somebody who, you know, who lived as a Muslim throughout their life, I think they might see it, they might become a burden on the revert more than being of support, right? So what type of advice do you have for born Muslims when it comes to kind of dealing with reverts?
Yeah, I think it's the culture very much can get caught up in it all. And I remember kind of feeling a little bit overwhelmed with some of the cultural aspects, or not even the cultural aspects, but you know, there's the sunnah, you know, the sunnah that we try to follow, and even that sometimes can be like, oh, did I do that right? Did I say this? Oh, I forgot that. And you know, left foot, right foot, you know, bathroom and, you know, exit and prayers and you know, I'm still struggling to read Quran and I missed something in my prayers now. Oh, it's like, sit down and drink water, you know, and sort of feeling, but I've never had it, alhamdulillah. The sisters have never done this to me. I've never felt like judged, or no one's ever put me down. No one's ever taken me to one side and embarrassed me. or you can't do this, or you did that wrong, or just, you know, they've been very gentle.
You're one of the lucky ones, honestly.
Exactly, because I've heard stories where who was it? Someone was telling me the other day that their son went to the mosque and he had little cartoons on his socks, and they just came down on him like a ton of bricks, like, you can't come in, you can't wear your socks, like, rah, 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 you know, and things like that. So I think I've been very blessed in that I live in a bubble, literally. I mean, I know we've got to have bubbles now, funnily enough, with COVID. I mean, I've lived like that anyway. I keep myself in my space because I don't want anything to disturb that. I don't want anybody to disturb my prayers, to disturb my thoughts, to disturb, you know, I just don't. And when you come across somebody who's a bit negative, I feel very disturbed. I literally feel very disturbed. You know, I mean, I try and keep it upbeat and swing them round. And if they don't want to swing round in there, I just have to move. I can't cope. So, yeah, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming to come into Islam, and especially with this perfection. I've got to get everything right, and then you've got people saying, "Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you know, you can't wear that hijab. It's got, you know, color on, or it's got a print on, or." Which is very nice. Thank you very much for telling me. But, you know, it took me a long time to wear my hijab to get outside the house this morning. You know.
And that's the journey that I think it's important for people generally to know about. Like, I understand the zealousy that people come with in order to, you know, help, you know, whoever needs help, because everybody wants to be helpful. And maybe people view it as, okay, well, I am trying to kind of shorten the path for this new revert, and hence I'll tell them exactly what to do. And then, you know, you have one person that has one school of thought that's telling the revert what to do, and you have another person with a bit of a different school of thought, which are both correct, and then they're trying to push the revert towards the other direction.
I think just a rule of thumb for me, this is just only coming from me. I mean, I'm of no school. I mean, I just take our Prophet, peace and blessings to be upon him, as our example. So if I have a question, shall I do this? Is it right to do that? I just Google and I look up what, you know, from what the Prophet, from the Sunnah, from the Prophet, how he would do this, how he would have said that, or, you know, I find that that's quite helpful in making your own choice. And I think you have to be, and I find that some reverts are, you know, they've got a story like me. So we're all a little bit kind of on the emotional sort of bordering, you know, we just need to find peace now. We can't cope with any more stresses or dramas. So I think we, you know, we have to be mindful that we're coming in from this. I mean, and I can only talk about the sisters. You know, we're very delicate anyway. We're a very delicate being. We're women. We're, you know, so I think you just have to be mindful in how you speak. And I just think that reverts are quite good at supporting each other, because we've all got the same sort of history, if you like, and we're from the same kind of culture in the Western world. We've had the same experiences, you know, and we're probably going through the same things. So I'm not saying, you know, we need to branch out and have reverts and you know, and the born Muslims. No, we need to come together somehow. And but I've said the sisters in Cairo just, you know, they just absolutely adore us, and they're so kind and so generous. It's ridiculous, you know. And they're really curious about us as well, you know. They like having us around. And they're just not aggressive. They're just so gentle and so genuine. You know, that's my experience. But I know that, as I said, I've had reverts talk to me and tell me things, you know, and I don't know what to say. I just want them to, you know, find the right sister. That's what you've got to do. You just got to find the right sister or the right brother to just hook up with, and you just connect with them, you know. And I think that's a general rule of thumb, whether you're a Muslim or not a Muslim. You find people that are on your page, you know.
Definitely. Now, So you have got it easy on that front. What challenges did you face after reverting to Islam then?
Um, I think understanding Quran, not reading it in Arabic. I haven't even started that yet.
Mm.
But I think I must be on the fourth or fifth reading of the
Oh,
Quran
nice,
now.
nice.
I just keep reading it. I just read it, finish, go back and start again. You know, and that's the only book I read. It's the only book I need to read. I used to read loads of books, love novels, you know. Um, I just read Quran. It's just sits there, and in the morning that's my routine, and I feel at peace. So my challenge was to understand the Quran. Obviously, I'm still understanding it, but really, yeah, I wanted to understand what was being said there, and I wanted to hear Allah's voice. Like I
Mm.
want to hear it. I want to be in touch there.
Mm.
Um, and then the next challenge was obviously I didn't understand. I think I spoke about this in a video. Like I didn't really understand who Allah was, or I don't know if I can put that in a way that's not being disrespectful, but I had no concept of our Creator. I didn't understand. So that was a challenge. I think just before I took the Shahada, it was getting the truth. Once I understood that the Quran, because I was reading Quran and then I was looking at the science in Quran, and then I really got that, oh my gosh, I was like, oh, no way. Oh, like literally shocked. This is the truth. And once I had closed the door on any doubts, I can then say, whatever I read is true. You don't question it. It's true. It's your belief. It's in your heart. And anyway, if you want to question it, there's the evidence. So once I got that, then I could go, it was kind of like a backflip, because then I could start to get the concept of Allah, right? Because I didn't have any concept of Allah.
Mm.
It's a very strange way of kind of thinking about it, because I had no God, remember, but we
Right,
have an innate homing device,
right,
because I was talking to a rock and the river and a
right.
tree and the sky. So
Mm.
who
Right.
put them there? And I
Interesting.
kind of like, I just want to scream it out to everybody, you know, but it's very hard. It's very hard because you don't talk about God in our society, in our sort of family, you know, you just don't.
That's
But
true. That's true. That's
I'm
true.
creeping it in there because I can hang everything on, like I can put everything back to Islam, and it's like, but slowly. I don't want to be aggressive, you know.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
my challenge was the Quran, understanding it and understanding and working out who is Allah. Yeah.
You know, these are very interesting perspectives. Good that, you know, the challenge that you have faced was drawing you in to understand more,
Yes.
because that in within itself is a blessing.
Yeah.
So that kind of cleared the road so you can
Yes.
actually dive deep. Not a lot of people get that chance. A lot of people, they face challenges immediately with their family. They get kicked out.
Mm.
I know people that they were cut off straight up from their
Yes.
family members. They were ostracized by their friends, and now they're not only dealing with wanting to understand more, but they're trying to deal with the external pressures as
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
and that's very challenging.
Yes. And I think, you see, I think even though I see, look how Allah plays it, you know, look how my life's gone. I say, oh, I was denied, you know, it got until I was in my 40s till I realized everything. But actually, for me as a person, Allah chose that was the right time, because I'd moved away. I was in an Islamic country. I was alone. I didn't have all the complications. I mean, could you imagine if I found Islam, walked into the family home with my husband and my two children and said, now I'm a Muslim? I mean, that just wouldn't have worked, would it? I mean, it just would not have worked.
Yep.
So it's all beautifully timed.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah. And that's what I love about Islam. And I really get the word submit. That's hard when you're a perfectionist and you're a controller.
You know something, now you speak about your husband, your first husband, you guys are separated, but now you found your current husband, right? Oh, you went through three marriages. Wow, that's amazing. It took you 3 marriages. Nice. So how was that like? Like, I don't want to dive deep into your private life, but maybe you can tell us how did that contribute to your evolution, your growth, and your personal development?
Yeah. I always remember the tough times of finishing my first marriage and kind of saying to him, you know, look, I feel I can see and I know I'm part of something. I don't want to be I don't want to be alone. So if we don't make this, I will make it with someone else. I said that. I remember saying that so clearly. So I always felt like there was a half of me out. And of course, in the Quran, we know Allah's made us in pairs. So look at this, you know, I'm homing in, you know, it's here. I'm born with this. So but unfortunately, my approach to finding a husband was wrong, because I hadn't learned that you don't worship, you don't put them, because he said that I had worshipped him and I'd put him on a pedestal and it was just too much for him to bear. And I totally get that. You know, I was 16, I was, you know, not feeling a sense of belonging. My father left when I was young. So I didn't get that kind of fatherly figure, and I was putting it all on him to be my father, my husband, my best friend, everything, you know. And isn't he wonderful? Isn't he great? Isn't he beautiful? You know, oh, you're amazing. Let me just adore you a bit more, you know, which is lovely. But I do that with Allah first now, right? So, so with my second husband, my second marriage, it was just a complete whirlwind, lustful, filling a void kind of relationship for both of us, you know, and that lasted only a year. So and I fell. This was in Qatar. He was from Morocco. He was a Muslim, but we didn't touch Islam. We married non-Islamically, and he wasn't a practicing Muslim. So I didn't touch Islam then. And it was only after that the marriage dissolved in a very ugly, heavy way that, again, I felt like, oh, here we go again. You're losing everything again. It's not working for you. What is it that, you know, you've got to look at yourself. You can't carry on in your life like this, because look what happens. And that's when I really started to think about life and myself and my behavior and my attitude and my feelings, and what was I bringing into life here? You know, stop blaming everybody else. Look at yourself now. It's just you. So yeah, that marriage didn't work. And then I was brought into a massive crash down, a real thud, and I had to be alone. And I was a Muslim by now, but I still had a big crash. And I remember Elizabeth saying that. She said, oh, well, you're Muslim now, but don't think, you know, it's all going to be plain sailing. You're probably going to have a really big trial. And I remember just shaking, going, no. But I did. I had another big trial, another big crash soon after, as she said, as she predicted. And I found myself alone. And this was what I needed. I needed to be alone. And I was alone for about the last 3 years. And that has allowed me to grow and become the person that I am, ready for my third marriage, my third husband. And it's perfect, because he likes his time and I like my time. And I'm not sitting there going, where is he? Come on, come home now. I can't be on my own. You know, I quite like the time that I have. And he was a blessing from Allah. I said in my video about prayers.
Yep.
Yeah, I prayed, and literally a few days later, I took a phone call and that was him. And then a year or so after that, yeah, about a year and a bit, we've married, and I've returned back to the UK.
Is he a revert himself?
No, he's a born Muslim, but he took a while to come into Islam.
Okay. So he understands the journey.
Yes. So which is nice, because sometimes we sort of look things up together.
Yep.
You know, and on the one hand, you see, Allah knows who's best for you, because I was thinking when I was getting into sort of like in my sort of second year of being a Muslim, third year being really getting into it, really getting a pace going, and I was thinking, I think I need a really strong, strict Muslim husband, you know, a sheikh, you know, and I thought, I think this is going to be really good for me, you know, and I was kind of going down that road. And in the end, I thought, you know what, don't even think anything. Leave it in the hands of Allah. Allah knows what's best, you know, literally, Allah knows what's best. And it was when I stopped the kind of, because again, I'm forcing things, I'm having a movie, I'm kind of wanting to get things the way I think they should go. And I let go. I just stopped and let go. And then I was alone for a year or so. And then I did my prayers, because I thought, now is the time. I feel really ready now, Allah. If I'm ready, please send me a husband. Hello, literally 3 days later.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, we've covered quite a bit. And
yes.
Can you believe we've been talking for like an hour?
Probably I talk for too long.
No, it's amazing. It's fascinating. Is there any last thing you would like to, you know, tell us, tell the audience, any big epiphanies you recently had you want to share with us?
What happened? No, not really. I think just to, like I said, just that to submit, to not grab, to not be forceful. And also I think I'm going to do my next video on it, actually. Christmas as a Muslim, as a new Muslim, or a revert Muslim, or whatever you want to call yourself. I call myself a newbie, because I didn't really revert from I didn't have anything to revert from, I guess. But yeah, Christmas is coming, and I think we need to just think about how we're going to be with our family, because I was a little bit harsh with Mum today. You know, I was not being very kind to her in the way that I spoke, and I sort of pulled myself back and apologized. She's great. She's your mum. And, you know, I was trying to sort of tell her about Christmas, and, you know, I said, you can have Christmas any day. And, you know, you don't need to put all of this up. You don't need to go spend all this money. You can call the family any day. We can put music on. We can come. We can put the lights up. We can sing carol, whatever you want. We can have a dinner. It doesn't have to be on this day, Mum, you know. And it's, you know, I was trying to explain to her the whole fast, it's all wrong. It's a lie. Yeah, so but I think just to be kind, just to be gentle, just to be understanding, and don't judge. I said a little video about that, like just not to judge, even when you know you've got the truth in your hands. Like I've got the truth in my hands, but who am I to judge my mum? If she wants to put her Christmas tree up, let her go for it, you know. And I just got a little bit kind of frustrated with it all, and just went a little bit too harsh with her. So yeah, I think
yeah, we can't be harsh on people, and we cannot force anybody to do anything.
No,
and we have to prioritize, like, you know, every situation is different, and
yes.
Islam is not here to break the ties of the family.
No, not at all, not at all,
yeah,
not at all. Yeah, and that's one thing I've kind of, you know, getting my head around, is that, like what you said, prioritize, and what our priority is ourselves. And I haven't had that, because I'm always looking out for everybody else, my children, you know, the husband, but now I've become, although it's sort of like a good selfish, you know, my priority is, am I ready? Is my bag packed for when I do leave this world and go to the next world? You know, have I done enough? Is my iman in check? How are my prayers? You know, did I read Quran? Did I speak kind words? Am I smiling? You know, how's my tongue? What's it saying? And all of this, it's go in, and like you say, never mind anybody else, you know. And I think that I've learned that a lot. Even though you can see and you desperately want, you know, your children, your family to come on board with you, they're not going to be there at the end of the day. And I say that to my kids, at the end of the day, who's going to be there when you die? Who is going to be there? You came into this world alone. You will leave alone. So just be ready for that moment when you leave, and that's it. Really, like I said, Amanda goes back to basic. It's simple.
This is very deep and very meaningful. It's a good note to end on. So thank you very much, Amanda Rickwood, for coming on this interview. We've learned a lot from you, and I encourage everybody to go and follow your channel. You have amazing videos that are out there. And until then, Jazakallahu khairan, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salams. Salam.